Hey everyone! Happy Saturday. I hope you've been having a fabulous week. I know that I have. And life is so good. Has so many wonderful opportunities. It's amazing. So, we've been talking about our past this week and specifically how to change our past, how to get over things, how to have closure and move on and be able to create and develop the future we want from a place of abundance and hope and excitement instead of from fear of the past being going to be repeated in the future somehow or anything. So what I wanted to offer you today were some thoughts that I had previously about my past, and I've given you some of those with some very broad circumstances. One was a traumatic event, and that was what I discussed Tuesday, and in the form of sexual abuse. And on Thursday, I spoke about how I got over the feelings of betrayal and anger towards people and friends that I felt had hurt me and done things to me, and how I've been able to look at both of those things as those situations were for me. Those were for my benefit if I chose to find it. So what I wanted to share with y'all today has to do with a more broad overview of the past. And specifically, I had a very unique childhood. Everyone does. Everyone's childhood is unique to them, of course. But when I got to a certain place in my emotional development, I became very angry at all of the injustices that I felt that I had suffered at the hands of other people. And I felt that, I was blaming everyone. At first, I started blaming God that He would even allow stuff to happen to me. I told you I'm a person of faith, and I've grown up and I've loved God, but it's like I blamed Him for allowing a whole slew of things that happened to me. I blamed my parents for a lot of the choices that they made. And I told myself, if only they had made these other choices, I wouldn't have been so screwed up. If only they could have changed this and done this differently, then I wouldn't be such a victim. If only they had decided these other things, then I could have lived a normal childhood, what I defined in my mind as normal. If only they had been different, then I wouldn't have the limitations that I currently have. No, and then I didn't stop blaming them. I started blaming a whole slew of other people and blaming people for everything, the way I felt, the way that I felt about myself and the world. And y'all, it was endless. And the beautiful thing was that I now realize that my past has nothing to do with them. It was me living my own past, right? And we've talked about that. But our circumstances, as we know, are independent of us. Here, and I've got my little pad of paper again, so I'll show you. Our circumstances are independent of us. But our thoughts about the circumstances, in this case, my past being, I don't know if you can see that, my past being the circumstance, and just going through specific events, if only they had done this differently, or this person had treated me differently, or whatever, those thoughts created anxiety and all kinds of things. Depending on what thought I was thinking, it would create a different emotion, a different feeling. Because every thought we think directly creates a feeling. Our feelings are not ambiguous. They're not just, it's not happenstance that you're feeling the way that you do. It is specifically, I'm getting tongue-tied today. It is specifically because we're thinking specific thoughts, and it's creating specific feelings for us. Okay? Because of my feelings, my actions towards people that I loved, that I knew I loved, mainly my mom and my dad, and a lot of other people in my life, that created the way that I treated them, that I interacted with them, became stressful on me. And I want to be clear, it is not because of them. And it's not because of what they had done that I thought they should have done differently. It's the way that I was thinking that made me act, or in my body, feeling stress towards them, towards, anybody. And so because of that, the result was that I would try to withdraw and not be around certain people at certain times because I just couldn't handle whatever they would say, and I couldn't handle my thoughts about them when I was with them, my thoughts about my past and blaming them in all the ways that they should have done things differently. And what I've since learned is that when someone has boundary violations in their life in any form, when someone approaches you and interacts with you in a way that is a violation of the boundaries that you naturally want to be set, whether or not you've set them, you feel like that's where the boundary should be. When someone violates that, there's going to be anger that comes as a result of that. And I found this through Doctors Henry Cloud and John Townsend's book on boundaries. If you are interested in having your world rocked, go read that book. It's the encyclopedia for boundaries. Boundaries are something now I know that are not too, they're not like a thing that you force on other people. Boundaries are things that you put in your life to keep you healthy, to keep you safe, so that you can interact with the world in a healthy way. So anyway, all of this anger came up because I felt so justified, and I was blaming everybody for all these things in my past, and I had super crazy thoughts that were super critical about the things that these people had done, right? Well, on the other side of that, once I realized this anger and this blame, it felt so powerful. I talked about the feeling justified about a situation, about holding on to a negative emotion. It feels, justification feels really terrible, but we think it's powerful. Blame feels powerful at any time. Anger feels powerful, like I'm doing something about this, I'm taking control of my life, and this shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't have happened. It feels very powerful, but it's what I love to think of as indulgent. It's an indulgent emotion because there is no upside to it. There's no benefit from it. It's like a donut. We know there is no nutritional value in a donut, but when we eat it, we feel like it's very indulgent, and we're just, But the result of the donut in our body, it wreaks havoc on us. So I like to think of certain emotions as indulgent because when we're utilizing them and we're choosing them, it feels like we are stronger because of it. But the result of it is it wreaks havoc on our emotional system and even in our body, because when we have certain thoughts that create certain feelings, those feelings create neurotransmitters, which, like if it's cortisol, like the stress hormone, that physically has an effect on our body, along with many other neurotransmitters that if we're not careful by the thoughts we're choosing, our body will create a response. And we know stress, we've heard it said over and over, stress is the number one killer. It's not specific diseases, it's stress that's creating these things, okay? There's my timer already. So there's so much I want to say about this, but I want to be clear. My past, because I was not my own person. I was so enmeshed with other people in my life that I thought naively that I was responsible for their feelings. I had no idea that their thoughts created their feelings, not me. I felt like if they were sad or if they were upset or they wanted something that I could give them, then I was responsible for doing that because I was so enmeshed with them. I had no idea where I ended and they began. And this is something I've had to chew on a long time. Where do I end? Where do other people begin? Other people begin at their own thoughts, their own feelings, all of that. That's them. But I was so confused. And so For years and years and years, I patterned my life by doing things that other people wanted because I didn't know who I was. I couldn't be genuine. I could not be authentic because I was so busy being a half a dozen other people and pleasing all of these other people, thinking that that was who I was, but it wasn't. And as I've grown in my own authenticity and knowing who I am and becoming my own person, I see so clearly now who in my past that I wasn't. And I am now so grateful for my past. And in fact, I have decided that I'm going to mine all of the good from my past. I can focus on all of the negative things, or I can realize the truth of it, that every obstacle in our life has an advantage of equal value. So if we think we've had a huge obstacle, we also have a huge advantage. We just have to find it. It is our responsibility to find that natural advantage to that same obstacle because it's there, and there's never a scenario where this is not true. And I love it. And so I have decided to go mine all of the gold from my past. And as I've done that, it has changed the way that I view things, view people and relationships. It has given me the grace to look at people, particularly my parents and others that I loved very much, and realize they did the best that they could. And knowing that makes me just want to love on them even more because let's face it, they're amazing people. But I love that I can go back and look at all of the things that used to irk me. I can now look back with gratitude that I was not my own person, because now that has given me the opportunity to grow and develop into my own person and now help others do that very same thing. It's so exciting. I've got a beautiful opportunity in front of me now because I was so enmeshed with other people's emotions that now I can teach other people they can be their own person and they can realize their thoughts create their own feelings, and they don't have to be handing off responsibility that they've been given to other people. They can hold it on their own, and it doesn't matter what other people say. That people can say whatever they want. I was telling a friend, I have never been more vulnerable in my entire life. And I've also never been more confident in my entire life. And being exposed to whatever people says or whatever the other people might say is so different for me. But I'm loving it because I know that what other people have to say doesn't hurt me if I don't choose for it to hurt me. So my past, I have made peace with it, because I have specifically gone back over and over and over to mine the gold from it and see all of the many benefits that I now have because of the way that I was raised, because of the way my parents thought about things, because of the relationships that I had built, and because of the interactions that I had, and because of the insecurities that I had. I now have a better life because of all of those things. So if this is something that you are struggling with perhaps, please know it gets better and better and better. The more you practice being grateful for your past, the better the results. The more I practice being grateful for how things happen within my family, the better version of myself that I show up when I'm with my family, and I get to love them more and deeper and more truly than I have ever in my life. And I'm so grateful for that. It's a game changer. I love y'all. I hope this is blessing y'all. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Contact me. I would love to speak with you. I'm offering 30-minute consults. And as a life coach, this is my privilege to be able to look at your life, help you examine it, and see the different ways that you can change and reach the goals and the processes you want to get to. So let me know, and we'll go forward from here. My schedule is Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday in the afternoons. So I will see y'all on Tuesday. All right, God bless.